Live from Radio Row in New Orleans, Louisiana. Super Bowl week, baby. Eagles and Chiefs rematch. Some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment will be right here. Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Live from Radio Row, our coverage continues here on the Jake Asman YouTube channel. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. And joining us right now is someone that the Jet fan base knows very, very well. The pride of Massapequa, Long Island himself, yes. Mr. Brian Baldinger. Baldinger, what's up, man?
Thanks, Jake. No, it's it's Super Bowl week. It's the finish line. So I know exactly what I need to do. I know exactly when I can get out, how long I can stay out. Like I'm just trying to survive to the finish line. So, but I'm good. I love this. I love all of this media. I like all the attention. I like participating with it. So I'm right where I need to be.
I love that. And we got one game left. We got to enjoy it. We got to soak it in, right?
We got to soak it in because, this is a long drought, and we're all going to go into some level of depression, and so you got to get everything that we can out of this game for every football fan out there.
100%. So I definitely want to get into the game with you, but people on my channel, they know you from all your breakdowns with the Jets media team, and obviously the Jets have been in the news a lot over the last couple of weeks. A brand new regime's coming in. Give us your thoughts on Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji, the new head coach and GM combination.
Well, it's good that they're coming in together. I think that's healthy. They don't always do that, coach and general manager together. So I think that's encouraging. I think that, the fact that Aaron Glenn has played for the Jets, worked for the Jets, knows a little bit about the history. I think that matters because we know the drought that the Jets are under right now. And I think Aaron Glenn saw similar things in Detroit and how they were able to turn that around and become almost America's team to some level, and how they got the fans behind them, the winning, the culture, they turned it all around. So I think that's good that Aaron has been a part of that. And now it's a question of, does he have the willpower to create the same type of success?
You're a former player. Aaron Glenn, obviously a former player, former great player with the Jet franchise. What really struck out to me in that press conference when he was introduced was how badly he wanted the job, how authentic he sounded with his passion for why he wanted the job. It sounded like he truly understood what he was signing up for, which I think is important because, yes, he's a first-time head coach, but he's been a Jet before. He understands what comes with being the head coach of the Jets.
He does. I think he does. Obviously, they've gone through a lot of coaches here recently, a lot of them from the defensive side of the ball.
Sure.
Are they making a similar move that they did with Salah, whatever? But, he gets, I think Aaron deserves a chance to build this thing the right way. I don't think they've done that well enough. I was a fan of Joe Douglas, but it did not work out. And so, I just hope that they're patient with Aaron and that he gets that opportunity to show the passion for New York fans, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of pieces in place. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. But more than that, a one-year pump or a one-year, markup isn't going to do. Like, they got to become a consistent player the way Buffalo has. You've got to. Everybody's chasing Buffalo right now. They've won the division 5 years in a row. Nobody's close to them. Like, they got to become Buffalo. That's and really nothing short of that to me is going to be acceptable if I'm a Jet fan.
How do they become Buffalo?
Well, they got Josh Allen. They started with Josh. I think you got to start with the quarterback. Like, I'm not running Aaron Rodgers out of town, and I'm not like, they got to find the quarterback, and we know that. And so it's been a long time since they got that position right, but they got it. It starts there, and they got Jared Goff in Detroit on a second contract, second spot, and it worked out for them. Doesn't always do that, but they've got to get the quarterback right. You just need continuity at that position. Philadelphia's here. Kansas City is here because they've got continuity at the quarterback position.
When it comes to Aaron Rodgers in particular, Brian, look, it was up and down, certainly not all on him why this team won 5 games. What do you do with Rodgers? It's unclear if he wants to come back, but assuming he does, right? What do you do with Aaron Rodgers? Are you comfortable with him being the one-year bridge, and then you figure out maybe the long-term answer at the quarterback spot after the 2025 season?
Where's that worked? Where's that worked where you just, okay, we got a bridge guy, which basically you're saying if we had a bridge guy, I'm not saying Aaron can't do it. Obviously, he played great in the last game of the year against Miami, but, I'm not saying he can't, but, the chances of him going 17 weeks at his age now with what we saw from just a year ago, like, it might be tough. And so I just feel like
What's the option if not him?
I don't know I don't know what the option is. I don't know at this point. You know, I don't know what the draft is going to present. Brock Purdy, chased, Trey Lance right out of San Francisco. It was the right guy. So, I mean, to just say, well, there's Cam Ward, there's Shedeur Sanders, I don't know that's just it. I haven't studied everybody. I don't know who that guy is. Aaron Rodgers was the 25th pick in the draft, or 24th. I just feel like if you start saying, okay, well, we're going to start with Aaron, and he's here for a year, and he's the bridge. Like, I feel like –
could you draft someone behind him, though, that maybe sits and learns from
That's
Aaron?
possible. Yeah, I mean, that's a potential. Yeah, I mean, all that stuff is on the table.
When you look at this team, and you're doing the breakdowns every week for the Jets, we're seeing it on your Twitter account, there's real talent on this Jets team. This is not your typical 5-win team. There's real players on both sides of the ball. What's the biggest thing that you think, beyond just quarterback, because that's obvious, what's the biggest thing that has to now happen for this new coaching staff coming in to actually maximize the existing talent?
Who's the offensive line coach?
A guy that Aaron Glenn's bringing with
from
him
Detroit.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's going to start with the offensive line. I mean, they just have to get this right. It wasn't right last year. I mean, you could go out and get Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses. We almost knew they weren't going to make it through the season.
And I thought Olu Fashioner, when he finally got in, he looked good too. It just they had no ability to run the football. And you're a former O-lineman. Can you break down what you saw on film and why the Jets, who had Breece Hall and had two other running backs they drafted, had the lack of just any ability to run the football whatsoever?
I mean, honestly, it starts with assignment football, and they could not figure out blocking assignments. They just couldn't. They just turned too many guys loose. Linebackers, defensive linemen. It was so frustrating. Block the most dangerous guy. That's just the short answer. But how do you do that? And they weren't very good at it. Now, is that Tippmann? Is that Aaron? Was that your offensive line coach last? I mean, it wasn't good. It wasn't cohesive. They've been trying for a long time to get this position right. You look at Kansas City and Philly, just look at what they do every year. Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, they fixed it off. Joe Tooney, they fixed an offensive line that didn't play well in the Super Bowl game in one off season. The Eagles have had tremendous all-pro tackles. You just look at the continuity, John Runyon to Lane Johnson. You look at, Trey Thomas to Jason Peters to, Jordan Mailata. You look at Jason Kelsey to Cam Jurgens.
Right.
Like, they just have this lineage. They know what they're looking for. And that's your front office. That's your philosophy. That's how you're building teams. Like, they've got to get that philosophy where they are going to draft and develop players. Both those teams that are in the Super Bowl do that.
When you look at some of the things that stood out on film, breaking them down each week, like give the Jet fan out there some real positives. Who was someone that you would watch on tape every week and be excited about when it came to the New York Jets?
Number 44 was unbelievable. Sherwood. He was an unbelievable player
He's a
this
free
year.
agent, so now he might not be able to be brought back. Who knows? I
don't know, but I mean, that guy was an incredibly. I know C.J. Mosley's been a great player, but honestly, I don't even know if there was a drop off from C.J. at his best to what Jamian did.
Wow,
like he was phenomenal. Like, I could have broken Jamian down every week, double-digit sacks. He was like what Zach Bond was in Philadelphia this year. Like, the only thing the Jets and what he didn't do was take the ball away with any regularity. Like, he was really, really good. Obviously, Wilson Garrett is a special player, but I didn't see Sauce step up this year the way I thought he was going to step up.
No,
he's got it. Quinyon Mitchell came in and was a stud every week. When he was challenged, he was answering the challenge. He didn't commit the penalties that we saw from Sauce this year. He took the ball away in the last 2 weeks. I want to see Sauce getting back to just shutting people down and playing with good technique.
Do you think Aaron Glenn, coming in, former corner, is someone that could get Sauce Gardner back to what he was his first 2 years as an All-Pro?
The way Sauce works, the student of the game that he is, if I was Sauce, I would be in his office every day right now and just picking his brain and looking at my tape. Look at my tape, coach. Tell me, like, what am I doing wrong here? Why am I getting grabby with these guys in the end zone and commit these fouls? Like, what do I need? Like, is it my footwork? Can I win earlier in the route? I mean, I would be picking his brain left and right.
I asked you about the Jets' lack of a running game. Was there anything, though, more painful to try and look back on film and do a Baldy breakdown than the Jets' defensive line trying to stop the run this past year? Good Lord, was it brutal getting gashed week in, week out watching this pathetic football team try and stop the run.
Well, they were poorly built. I mean, I don't want to trash any guys over here, but they don't have a fat guy in the middle.
No.
That can, eat up double teams. I mean, I think they brought a guy in from Arizona. He never, been doing it, but they bring in guys that can't stay healthy, not on the field.
Kinlaw was nothing. They got nothing out of him.
Nothing.
It's just brutal.
And they didn't develop any of those guys.
All these guys on the edge too was a huge problem.
I mean, there was a time when they had Snacks Harrison, and Snacks, they found guys. They can't. They seem to have an inability to find those type of people.
Very frustrating. All right, the game on Sunday, Baldy, and then we'll get to what you're here.
Yeah.
The real reason why you're here, of course. The game Sunday. What is the biggest thing the football fan who hasn't watched every Chiefs game all year, every Eagles game all year like you have watching the film back, what's the biggest thing we need to know about this matchup on Sunday?
Well, I mean, is Kansas City built to stop Saquon Barkley? Now they have all the pieces. They've shut down good running teams. They like to go big at the linebacker spot. Leo Chenal, Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquill, Justin Reed. Like, they could build an 8-man box as well as anybody in this business. And they got Spags. So that maybe it's run blitzing, but you can't let Saquon get into the alley. Like, if he gets in the alley, and his speed is breakaway speed. 7 touchdown runs of 60-plus yards this year. Nobody's ever done that before. So you got to get him before he gets you. And so that's the biggest challenge for Kansas City right now, because if Philadelphia can play that game, because they run it 725 times this year. You remember when Rex did it 610 times?
Ground and pound, baby.
Ground and pound. I mean, that was fun. That was fun football for Jet fans. I thought it would throw a good year back there. But
we appreciate
yeah.
that.
So, but that they run it 100 more times more than anybody else in this league. If they can stay in that style of football, then they're going to be tough to beat in this game.
Tell us about Low T.
Well, I mean, look, I'm not. Hard to believe, but I'm not the same guy I was 25 years ago.
No, stop it.
I know. But I got my low T. I got my T score, my testosterone score measure at low T. They know what my score is. They know what it could be. So they have all the ways necessary, including delivery right to your door of a syringe, what you need, the right amount of everything you need in order to get that score back up where it needs to belong, to keep your energy level, to keep your brain power working, all that, to keep your better half happy. All those things can be done by just going to your Low T center, whether it's online or going to one of the 600 centers they have around the country.
When was the last time Brian Baldinger, the pride of Massapequa, Long Island himself, had All-American Burger?
I was there this past summer. So this past summer, I haven't been there. I was on Long Island once. Halloween Jets played that day against Houston. They won that game.
Yep, I was there. One of the few bright spots from the season.
Yep. Quincy got dressed up as a Joker. He was great. I was there on Long Island, but I didn't get to Massapequa that day. But I was there this summer. Yes, All-American.
You're the man. I appreciate you doing this.
Hey, Jason.
And hopefully next time we talk about the Jets,
yes.
we're talking about some wins on the field.
Me too.
Once.
I hope so also.
He's Brian Baldinger. My name is Jake Asman. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're back with more coverage throughout the day on the channel, live from Radio Row.